Welcome to another episode of the Battle Frontier Research Lab. This is a series where we build, design, test, and analyze teams for the Battle Frontier. For this episode, I want to talk about a team that's kind of focused around a Sandstorm kind of setup where we kind of abuse Tyranitar's ability, which is Sandstorm, and we use other Pokemon that are going to benefit from this and kind of build a team around it for the Battle Tower in Pokemon Emerald. The main objective of this team is to try and build a team designed around a shiny Tyranitar that I have. We want to kind of, again, abuse the Sandstorm setup, but ultimately I want to get a gold symbol in the Battle Tower. As of the recording of this video, I don't have a gold symbol in the Battle Tower. However, I still want to build and design teams and try and get them or get that symbol with some of my favorite Pokemon. And because I got the shiny Tyranitar this past year, I wanted to kind of see if we can build a team, again, focused around Tyranitar and that Sandstorm ability, because also it's just super cool to have like a Sandstorm kind of setup. This is like the third or fourth iteration of this team, but this is the first one that we're actually talking about on this channel. So I did have some experience already using this type of Sandstorm strategy. And moving into the first build that we're going to be talking about, I already had, again, thoughts and considerations on things that I wanted to test out and implement. So going into the team, the first Pokemon is going to be Devilojo, which is my actual shiny that I have in my save file. We have a naive nature, which isn't like the best, but it's not really the worst either. And again, the Sandstorm ability is going to summon a Sandstorm for the entire game, which is actually really powerful. And for the moves, I decided to go with Earthquake, Rock Slide, Brick Break, and Aerial Ace. The Rock Slide is great because it's stab, and it ideally is probably the most powerful move we have in our arsenal right now. All around though, I just wanted a variety of special attacking moves that could abuse Tyranitar's very high attack, because I think it's like 134 base. So overall it has very high physical attack, and I did end up slapping the Choice Band on it just so we can hit a little harder. Going into the IVs and EVs, so the IVs are not the best. We have 2 in HP, 3 in attack, 25 defense, 12 special attack, 20 special defense, and 8 in speed. So overall, really only the defense and special defense are quite good. It's kind of unfortunate the attack and HP are low, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. I'm very happy to have gotten the shiny Tyranitar. For the EV spread, we did 218 in HP, we maxed it out in attack, and we did 40 in speed. Putting 40 in speed allows us to outspeed other Tyranitars, so I just wanted to try and put some sort of investment into this Pokemon to make sure that in some matchups we can be, I guess, more favorable. There are some Tyranitar builds in the Elite Four or the Battle Frontier that actually do run things like Brick Break, and because we're also running Brick Break, we can actually outspeed and one-shot those other Pokemon, or I guess more specifically Tyranitars. Although I think one of them has the Quick Claw, but for the most part we are able to outspeed and one-shot those Pokemon, so I think that was a pretty wise decision. But Tyranitar is the main leader of this team because, again, we want to summon that Sandstorm immediately and kind of get some additional benefits. Does some chip damage, but also as you see some of the other Pokemon, they may have some additional benefits. So moving into the second Pokemon, I chose Cacturne. Now, Cacturne is an awesome Pokemon because it has the ability Sand Veil. It ups the evasion in a Sandstorm. I forgot the exact percentage, but I think it's like 10 or 20%. So as long as there's a Sandstorm up, Cacturne is just going to be able to dodge a lot of moves, which is really cool. So for the moveset, I chose Needle Arm, Leech Seed, Double Team, and Substitute. The Leech Seed Substitute combination is really fun because we can sap our opponent for health, as well as kind of hide behind the Substitute. Because the opponent is likely to miss moves when the Sandstorm is up, we kind of get some free turns in. Double Team is just going to increase our evasiveness even further. And Needle Arm is quite a fitting move because it's such a unique move for Pokemon in general, but it's, again, very specific to Cacturne. But this is mostly just a stab move that can also flinch and kind of just do some additional damage to avoid prolonging certain matchups. Also, very importantly, it does deal with things like Swampert, which definitely gives Tyranitar issues being a water and ground type. So Cacturne is able to deal out some damage, but also with the Leech Seed and Sandstorm, able to do some chip damage while also being very hard to hit. We also do run the Bright Powder on this Pokemon, so it even further increases the evasiveness. I decided to go for a Modest Nature. Cacturne's, I guess, stats aren't like the absolute best. It has some pretty good, I think, attack and special attack. However, it's not really fast, it's not really bulky either. So I just decided to try and run as much damage as possible. Moving into the stats, I just gave this Pokemon 31 all around. We gave it 4 EVs in HP, max attack, and then max speed. I just wanted to play around with the speed versus HP. I think the speed could be more helpful in attempting to either set up a substitute or even like another double team, or just try and get in that needle arm against things like Swampert. But again, Cacturne is kind of squishy, so even adding like EVs and HP might not make it survive anyway, so getting that little bit of extra speed could be pretty helpful. Again, it's something kind of got to experiment with, but this is the build that I went with for right now. The last Pokemon was Magneton, and this is definitely a more experimental one that I kind of just really wanted to try out for fun. The Tyranitar and Cacturne kind of was already something that maybe is a little bit more, quote, mainstream, and had a lot more discussion with other people. And again, it's the synergy between Cacturne's ability, Sandveil, and Tyranitar's Sandstream ability that makes that combination of Pokemon pretty awesome. But for the third Pokemon, I found this Magneton build, and it was really disgusting, and I really wanted to try it out, so I just figured let's slap it on this team and see how we do. But Magneton, objectively, I guess, has a good role on this team because water types give this team problems. If a water Pokemon usually has things like Surf, but also like Ice Beam or Icy Wind, and Devilojo or Tyranitar dies to water moves, and then if you switch into Cacturne, it's just going to die from like an ice move. However, if you send that Magneton, then you have a answer with the move Thunder, but also this Pokemon is running Rain Dance, so it can increase the hit of Thunder and stuff like that, which does not have the best synergy with Sandstream. But again, I really wanted to try this Pokemon out, and I was trying to find a team to put it on, and I just wanted to try it out for this team and see how we did. For the moveset, we got Thunder, Rain Dance, Thunder Wave, and Metal Sound. This is actually a build already in one of the trainers in the Frontier does use this. And it's just so spicy though, because Thunder is going to hit so hard with that stab, and then even Metal Sound to make things even weaker. Thunder Wave though can cripple some things, but Rain Dance probably is not the best move on this Pokemon, or this team specifically, because it conflicts with Sandstream. The sturdy nature is overall just pretty nice, but we chose a modest nature because Magneton has pretty high special attack. I gave it the Lumberry because we're going to be switching to this Pokemon more often than not, and I didn't see the need for any other item as much. Gave it 31 IVs all around, and we actually gave it 252 or max HP EVs and then max special defense. This is actually the EV spread that exists in the Frontier on this Pokemon, which is pretty cool. And I guess the logical reason for the 252 in special defense is because you're hitting with Thunder, you have a modest nature, you're already doing a lot of damage, or you're hitting with a Stab Thunder, that's a lot of damage. You don't really need that extra investment in the special attack. But if you do decide to pop that Rain Dance, then you are going to be in a situation where like water moves are going to do more damage, so you kind of want to survive those. And if you get hit with like an Earthquake or something, you're already at like, you're just dead. It's like 4 times effective. Maybe logically this isn't the best build, but I was really itching just to have some fun with it. As for like a quick overview of the team itself, there are a good amount of overlapping weaknesses. So everyone's weak to fighting. You got 2 Pokemon that are weak to fire, 2 are weak to ground, and again Magneton being 4 times weak to ground. And because Tyranitar is weak to water, Cacturne's weak to ice, definitely a lot of situations where it's just not optimal to put either of those Pokemon in. But for this iteration of the team, I just wanted to use Magneton on a team with this Cacturne and Tyranitar just to see how we did. So I want to go into the runs. We did a total of 11, I guess, different matches, and I did end up switching the Pokemon like halfway through because it was just pretty brutal, but we'll go into that really quickly. So run 1, we got to round 29. Actually, so all of these battles, we start at round 28 in the battle tower. And this is because it just saves us some time going through those really early rounds where it's pretty easy anyway. But if we start at 28 and we get to 35, that's when we face Tucker. So we get to see how the team handles it with Tucker Silver. So round 1 or match 1, we only got to 29. So we only won 2 rounds. There was a Salamence with Aerial Ace that kind of just sweep the team. Salamence is pretty lethal because it's got things like Earthquake, Brick Break, and Aerial Ace. All those moves absolutely destroy this team. Aerial Ace is one move that really hurts that Cacturne build. And this was something, again, that I tested previously, so I kind of knew, obviously, going in Aerial Ace on any like grass-type double team strategy is just going to be a big problem. But Salamence in specific, again, because it got Brick Break 4 times against the Tyranitar, Aerial Ace always going to hit the Cacturne, and there's no benefit from like Sand Veil or Bright Powder. And then the 4 times super effectiveness on Magneton. On the second run, we get to 36, so we actually beat Silver or Tucker Silver, which is pretty easy with Tyranitar. I noted that water ground Pokemon are pretty difficult. I think I versed a couple of them these battles, and there was a Whale Rain that actually I wasn't really expecting, but there's a Whale Rain build that is pretty lethal because Whale Rain can learn like Water, Ice, and also Earthquake, or Water, Ice moves, but also Earthquake, which is just all around very bad for my team. Bulky water types also are just a big problem for this team, and a lot of teams that I build in general, but you gotta have an answer to them. And our answer to bulky water types was Cacturne's Needle Arm and Magneton's Thunder, but a lot of times the Needle Arm isn't going to do enough damage, and then if you do or are able to send out Magneton, sometimes it just isn't enough, or you miss the Thunder. So there's a lot of issues with that. On the second run, we lost to Marowak III. So Marowak had Brick Break, Earthquake, and it outspeeds. There are Marowaks that can also have Icy Wind as well. So Marowak was absolutely a lethal Pokemon that can outspeed and one-shot Tyranitar and Magneton. And overall, just do actually, no, it will destroy Cacturne because it does have the Brick Break. I mean, obviously, Icy Wind will still do damage too, but that Brick Break's pretty much going to kill everything on the team. On run 5, we got to round 35. But Blaziken was a pretty powerful Pokemon. That was pretty scary because it got Fire and Fighting moves, so it can take care of and pretty much outspeeds Tyranitar too. So take care of Tyranitar with a Fighting move, and then uses Fire or Fighting to take care of Cacturne or Magneton. Over here, I decided to switch my teams. There were just too many overlapping weaknesses. Again, every Pokemon's weak to Fighting, 2 are weak to Fire, 2 to Ground. And I kind of consider Water, Ice to be like the same weakness because all those Pokemon have those types of moves. And on top of all that, my Pokemon were slow as well. So overall, even after 3 runs, I just was not having fun with the team. It just felt awful. So again, I had some fun, but I wanted to swap some things around. Moving into the next iteration of this team, I took out Magneton and actually Cacturne as well. I wanted kind of like a fresh start. So I decided to throw in my shiny Metagross. I love this thing. Such a cool shiny. And I kind of thought, if we can make a team with 2 of my favorite shinies, or 2 of my shinies, but they're also some of my favorites and favorite Pokemon, that'd be really cool. So let's see how far we get in testing like a 3rd Pokemon for this. So overall, Metagross, super powerful Pokemon. And again, this is the actual one I have in my save file that I'm testing out. So for the moveset, we got Earthquake, Meteor Mash, Rock Slide, and Explosion. Again, pretty standard. Meteor Mash, pretty much a staple. I love that move. It's so cool. It does a lot of damage, and it's stab too. Explosions to handle things that I don't really like. Rock Slide. So Rock Slide and Earthquake I actually just have on the Pokemon. There are, again, other things like Aerial Ace and even like Shadow Ball, I think, that I probably would be better if I decided to put it on the same team as this Tyranitar. But I do overlap moves as of right now, Earthquake and Rock Slide, by having it on Metagross and Tyranitar. But I wanted to just test this out and see how we did. The Lonely Nature isn't like the best, but it does increase the attack of the Pokemon, so pretty good. I really wanted to run the Choice Band on Metagross, but we are already running it on Tyranitar. And Tyranitar, it does hit very hard, but also we do have very low attack IVs and not a beneficial nature. So I kind of wanted to maybe pick up where Tyranitar would lack, but also leading with Tyranitar seemed to be the best, again, option with the Sandstorm ability. So I like leading with the Choice Band because then I can switch out if the move no longer becomes optimal, as opposed to switching into the Pokemon. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's just, like, I guess, a personal preference. Choice Band Metagross is probably more ideal, but because I already had it on Tyranitar, I wanted to keep that Pokemon consistent. I was deciding between the Quick Claw and Lumberry. Lumberry is always nice because if you're switching into the Pokemon, it's just, you kind of protect yourself from some things like Confused Ray or Thunder Waves, things like that. Even like Swagger. Swagger's such a nice one, though. If you get hit and you hit that Lumberry, or you heal with the Lumberry, now your Metagross is going to be wiping the floor with everybody. But I decided to go with the Quick Claw because on this build, yeah, I maxed out the EVs in HP and attack, so it's already kind of, it's not a super fast Pokemon, but hitting something with the Quick Claw, like having the explosion or something like that, just would do a lot of damage and kind of help with some of the matchups. But yeah, for Metagross's EV or IVs, we have 27 HP, 1 in attack. I'm not that good with these shinies getting good attack IVs. 20 defense, 11 special attack, 23 special defense, and 22 speed. Overall, not like that bad of IVs, but yeah, we got a split between attack and HP. Again, probably not the best EV spread, but at the same time, like I got this like a while ago, so I didn't even do the Battle Frontier back when I did that, or back when I EV trained that. But yeah, overall, really cool Pokemon, one of my favorites. The third slot, I thought a lot about this, like what to put, but we definitely needed either like a tank or like a special attacker. And I wanted something that covered a lot of the weaknesses that, or didn't overlap as many or any weaknesses with Tyranitar and Metagross. And getting back to Metagross, that was also a good Pokemon to have in addition to Tyranitar, because it's not weak to water, ice, or fighting. So it's like somewhat of a decent switch in. But anyway, I wanted something similar with the third Pokemon where I could be comfortable switching into it. And again, I thought a lot about this, but I ultimately went with a special attacking Flygon. So the Flygon's nice because it's a ground type, so it's not going to be affected by the Sandstorm. Flygon is also, it's a good physical attacker, but it's also pretty okay in special attack, but it has a wide variety and has access to a lot of different special attacking moves. On top of that, it's very fast, so we can switch in, hit something real quick, maybe get out or keep it in, but Tyranitar Metagross overall, kind of slow. Even with the Quick Claw, we might get in some sneaky moves, but it's not as reliable or dependable. But special attack and Flygon, fast, got a lot of different moves. And also the ability Levitate is going to help with Tyranitar and Metagross's ground weakness. For the moveset, there are a lot of moves obviously to pick, but ultimately went with Dragon Claw, Crunch, Flamethrower, and Giga Drain. Again, a whole wide variety of different moves, but Crunch gonna help us with like those ghost types and such. Flamethrower for them, the Steel, Skarmories, Scizors, things like that. Which again, some of those Pokemon will run counter, so having Metagross or Tyranitar out is gonna be bad. And Giga Drain to help us with those water ground types that just we know we're gonna see, because I always have problems with them. But yeah, overall, just some really good moves. For the nature, I went with a modest nature. As the speed nature, like I think timid could also be a great option. For a lot of times, people are going to want to choose to get that additional speed investment. However, I previously did train a special attacking Flygon, or maybe I did a mix of that, of a physical and special attacking Flygon. Either way, it felt like Flygon didn't hit hard enough when I used it, and I just wanted a little bit more damage when I originally had a hasty nature, which increases the speed. So I wanted to try out a little bit more, I guess, or special attack with the modest nature, see how we did. But I think modest or timid nature is like probably the more common way to build Flygon. For the IVs, we gave it 31 all around just to see how we're going to do. We gave it 4 HP and then a split between a maximum special attack and speed. Again, I wanted to get in there and hit very hard. So kind of looking at the team holistically, I mean, there are still some weaknesses or similar weaknesses as the first team that we talked about. Like again, water ice still probably an issue, and ground moves could be a problem with the overlapping weakness. But at the same time, we do have some better, I think, answers and I guess better switch-ins that hopefully could help us out a little bit better. But anyway, so the fourth run of this kind of playthrough, which is the first run with the Flygon and Metagross, we got to 36. We did have an epic battle with Flygon where we got a crit Giga Drain on a Milotic. We healed, and then that's how we won. Dude, that was crazy. Really showing the power of Flygon during that match. And I think that round we lost to a Porygon, but it's only because Metagross missed Meteor Mash 3 times in a row, which was not that probable, although it does happen sometimes. Usually 2 times in a row is bad, but yeah, 3, you just lose. Anyway, the first round was pretty good. Run 5, so the second run with Flygon and Metagross, we got the 35. I just played really bad, made bad decisions. Run 6, we got to round 50, which was pretty sweet. So actually for this round only, I swapped a King's Rock on Flygon for Scope Lens. I just felt like possibly getting a high crit chance might be great. I kept the Quick Claw on Metagross, although the Quick Claw was messing me up sometimes because I would think Metagross would outspeed certain Pokemon, but in reality it was just a Quick Claw activating because you don't really know when it activates. But yeah, that kind of messed me up sometimes. Also, I thought I swapped Scope Lens on Flygon from this point moving forward. However, it was only for this run, but because of how I did like the load and save states, I didn't save it after I swapped that item. But the King's Rock, again, I think is good with the flinch, but at the same time, if I can get that crit, I think that'd be just a lot better, especially on Pokemon that are setting up and such. Some Pokemon that were pretty scary, again, these bulky water types, or like just water types in general. The Milotic and Feraligatr were kind of issues. However, if I sent out Metagross and just exploded on it, usually wasn't a problem. But it was a problem when there were multiple like bulky water types, because my main answer was just to throw out Metagross and, you know, do its worst. Sorry, I misspoke. On this run, when I got to 50s, when we lost to when my meteor mashing Metagross missed 3 times in a row. The Porygon, to be fair, did have Bright Powder, but still, that was pretty tough. So that round 50 with that Scope Lens Flygon, I don't think that was like the main reason why we got very far, but that was the run that we got the highest with, I guess, through this playthrough or this match. Moving on to run 7, we got to 29. I made bad plays. On run 8, we got to 35. I've learned that we pretty much were able to get past Annabelle. I think I said Tucker before. I misspoke. It's Annabelle. We got to Annabelle a whole bunch of times, and if I just spam Rock Slide on their whole team, we could pretty much win. There are some situations where if Alakazam does disable the Rock Slide, then we're in a little bit of a pickle, but for the most part, just spam Rock Slide. We can get through Silver Annabelle pretty quickly. Oh my gosh, this was so stupid. So we lost this run because it was Ludicolo versus Tyranitar. I think Ludicolo used Surf. Yeah, Ludicolo did so much damage, and I wasn't able to kill it with Aerial Ace. So I'm like, all right, let's go Flygon. We'll outspeed it or something. We'll hit it with like Flamethrower. I don't know, just do something. And then it predicts I do that, and it Ice Beams me. So that is actually why we lost that, because I lost a lot of... I've almost lost 2 Pokemon against Ludicolo. Yeah, I don't know how it predicted that, but... So actually, I learned almost every time it will Ice Beam. So because that situation happened, I think 3 times. At least 3. Definitely 2, but I think at least 3. That Ludicolo uses Surf, I Aerial Ace, or I use whatever move. And then no matter what I do next, it will Ice Beam. So on run 9, we get to 42. So I learned that Blastoise is a very scary Pokemon, because Blastoise can learn moves such as Ice Beam, Surf, Earthquake. Scary. But also Mirror Coat. And because Flygon usually can't kill most Pokemon in one hit, especially like Giga Drain will do damage, but it will not do enough to one-shot the Blastoise. If it Mirror Coats, we just lose. So that was a problem on Blastoise, but some other Pokemon as well. We actually ended up losing because I got outsped by a Golem. It might have had Quick Claw or something on it, but my Tyranitar was not able to dish out the Earthquake first, and I just didn't play this match that much. I think I underestimated that Lantern. Yeah, I kept Flygon in against Lantern, and Lantern ended up having Ice Beam, so we just lost Flygon for no reason. So again, kind of making some dumb decisions, but we're learning. And run 10, we get to round 30, or match 32. Heracross is a very big problem for this team. It outspeeds and one-shots Tyranitar. Flygon's also pretty weak in general, and with Stab, Mega Horn, and like Brick Break on the Heracross, the Flygon can't really take the hit, and also the Flamethrower just doesn't do enough damage. Yeah, fighting Pokemon, though, are still pretty lethal against this team, because I think the main answer we have to fighting is on Tyranitar, which probably makes more sense to have the Aerial Ace on Metagross, or also on Metagross. On run 11, we get the 30. Silverwinding Scyther got the Omni Boost, and I missed a Rock Slide, and then the game just snowballed from there. So I've learned that if Scyther hits that like Omni Boost from the Silverwind, I lose a very significant amount of percentage at that time. Not on this team, just in general. Like something I've noticed. Like Scyther doesn't usually seem to be a very lethal Pokemon. Usually just dies, but if it survives and then hits something, like even like a Swords Dance or 2, it gets pretty scary. Overall, with this team, I think there's just too many Pokemon that do too much damage, and even with the Earth, I still consider a Water Pokemon with Ice is like just like one Pokemon, or like with an ice move is just one Pokemon. So like Flygon and Tyranitar essentially have an overlapping weakness like on my team. And especially like ground with the Metagross and Tyranitar, although not as bad, but just the water Pokemon, just lethal. Other than Explosion, this team doesn't really have a clear answer to those like bulky water types. So there are some things that probably will still test out. Again, I really want a team in the Battle Tower to get gold symbol with, and with this Tyranitar. I think Tyranitar and Metagross, they got potential together, but I don't know. That third Pokemon has to be like the perfect addition to the team to complement them, and I don't think Flygon is it. I could try out some different moves again on Metagross. Maybe we keep the Tyranitar how it is, but maybe also give Metagross the Choice Band and then Tyranitar something else. And then we put Aerial Ace or Shadow Ball, something like that, on Metagross. But again, we need answers to water Pokemon, and we need solid one answers as well. It was recommended during this live stream to put a Quagmire on the team, and I realistically, it is the Pokemon. I just really don't like this Pokemon. It just looks like, it's just so derpy. But from a objective point of view, it has the water absorbability, so it'll heal if it get hit by a water move, which is great. Quagsire is also resistant to fire, which helps out the Metagross if we decide to put that on the team too. I don't think the moves are like the absolute best, but it can learn things like Yawn and Protect, even like Toxic, so you can throw it in there and make it deal with or like cripple the opponent in some way. You still got moves like Earthquake, even like Haze. Actually, I didn't even realize that, but it can learn Haze, which could be pretty nice. The stats on this Pokemon aren't like the absolute best either, but again, this team needs something that just doesn't immediately die. It's like a lot of Pokemon that Metagross and Tyranitar die to, so objectively, this Pokemon probably fits on the team. Maybe I will try in the future. I don't know if I can muster up the strength. Like if this team does get a gold, I don't know if I could actually go into my real game and train up a Quagmire for the Frontier. It just wouldn't feel right. I'm sorry for the Quagmire fans out there. Another Pokemon I was considering was Claydol. Claydol's got that Levitate ability, so it can dodge the ground moves, which would be nice with Tyranitar and or Metagross. It does have an overlapping weakness with water, which is not the best, but man, Claydol can learn some really cool things. You can go like kind of like a special attacking build. You get things like Psychic. It can learn like Ice Beam, Solar Beam, and then you can even make it like bulky and do like the Cosmic Power build, and then even throw Explosion on it. Like Claydol's got a lot of, I think there's a lot of different builds you can go with Claydol, and it's just such a cool Pokemon. But because it's kind of slow, it does have very high special defense. I think if I could run some calcs on this and see if we can survive some surfs or something, maybe it would be an okay Pokemon. But at the same time, the overlapping weakness with water doesn't like settle the best with me. Just throw this Pokemon on the team, but it still would be kind of fun. I'm still itching to try and use Claydol on more than one team. I don't know if this is it though. There's also like a whole bunch of other, we could talk about this for like hours. Like there's so many Sandstorm teams that we could talk about, but the Tyranitar build could also be like we can put like Thunder Wave on this and things like that. We could even go with special attacking Tyranitar. Although for my specific Tyranitar, I've already built it, you know, so I can't really, I mean, I guess I can go back and reset the IV or the EVs or whatever, but I don't know if I really want to do that. But a special attacking Tyranitar could be an option. Steelix is also an option, but then it overlaps the fighting. I really wanted Aggron on the team, but it's got like all the same weaknesses as Tyranitar, and it'd be pretty tough to do. Aerodactyl was also kind of like an option. There's a lot of Pokemon. We can even go Swampert, but I think Swampert would be good. We know Swampert's really like a really powerful Pokemon. So, I don't know, maybe realistically Swampert would work well as it's an answer to a lot of issues. But again, I don't really want to put a team with Swampert and Metagross on at the same time, because to me, Swampert and Metagross are just, you know they're good. You know you're going to have some success in the Frontier. But essentially, if a Pokemon is a Steel, Ground, or a Rock type, it's like open to consideration for this team. And I think at the end of the day, like if I had to, I would love to build a team with a shiny Tyranitar, my shiny Metagross, and then my shiny, or eventually, hopefully when I get it, shiny Aggron, or even drop the Tyranitar and put in a shiny Aggron. That'd be such a cool team that all dies to like the same types of moves. So I probably wouldn't get very far, but that'd be a lot of fun. But yeah, moving forward in the near future, I don't think we're going to be doing another video on this Sandstorm team, although I do have a lot of other ideas for it kind of cooking up. There's a lot of other fun things I want to share on the channel before we kind of go back on this, but yeah, we'd love to hear more input on a Sandstorm team, because if I could get the gold symbol in my actual game with that Tyranitar, that'd be sick. But anyway, thanks for tuning into this episode's team and analysis. Definitely check out some of the videos on the channel and leave some other suggestions down below. Take care, everybody.